Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Janice Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. I am a Reiki Master, intuitive channel, Celtic Shamanic High Priestess, Crystal Master. I do stuff. And I'd also like to welcome my beautiful co-host, Jennifer. Jen, do you want to tell us what you do, please?
Sure. So Jennifer Jurkofsky with my holistic self-counseling and with Twillow Lifestyle. And what do I do? I'm a registered psychotherapist, certified Canadian counselor, and intuitive life coach. I also do stuff, energy work and psycho-spiritual counseling and human design stuff. And it's a day.
It is a day. It is indeed a day. And so
I just needed to stop and say that because it has been a day.
Yes. And hello, Michelle Marie.
Hi.
Happy spring. She's one of our teachers at the Twillow Lifestyle Academy. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. It's a day.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And it's interesting, right? Because we talk about the transits each time and everything. And it's, right now, it's such a beautiful transit that we're moving into, thinking about looking at self-love and acceptance and moving towards, unconditional love and becoming our higher self and embracing that essence and all of that. And yet there's this constriction around it.
Well, it's this trying to get rid of the other stuff so we can do that. It's that's coming up to be seen. All right.
Well, and it's interesting, right? We're in this place, and it's funny because it is the gate 25, but it is also the channel of the 2551. And it's the thing about this channel that is crazy is it's a very amplified channel. And so what happens is it's initiation, the channel of initiation, but there's this competitive nature around this channel. And so what ends up happening is I don't know, what's a good example? I think the one that they use in the text is if you go to the grocery store, somebody grabs the thing off the shelf right before you grab it. Right. Or somebody cuts you off, or there's just this kind of constant, wait a minute, what's going on here kind of moment.
How long has this transit been going on? Because the weirdest thing happened to me at a coffee shop last week. Like that.
Interesting. Well, this particular transit started today and it'll go till the 25th.
Okay.
But again, remember, we all have all of these in our chart at any given moment, whether it's defined or undefined. Yes. So depending on our relationship with the transit, you might see this happen in your life more often anyway. It's just amplified, right? Because it's in the transits right now.
Yeah. Because last week it was one evening last week, I went to meet someone for coffee, and I'm standing in line and I'm looking, and I was going to have a brownie because it was after dinner. It was, I was going to treat myself. So there was this one brownie on the plate, one person in front of me. I'm okay, I'm going to have that. Just as I'm getting up, that person says, "Oh, can I have the brownie?" I was well, then she ordered, it turns out they called for a coffee. She'd gone, so I thought she was done. She had ordered exactly the same coffee as me. And so I thought it was mine. And I was what are the chances of that? It's not I didn't just order off the menu either, right? It was a latte with oat milk and a splash of caramel. It was anyway, yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the brownie. I had the latte.
it's that kind of stuff. And it's, it was so funny too, because like even, I don't know, you get to a place where you have to just laugh and roll with it.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, you're just going to go, holy moly. Like, I just can't anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
that is what I did, by the way. I did just like, okay. So much for that.
I guess that's not happening.
They had other things in mind. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, eh? Yeah, it's quite a doozy this week because we've got, like, today we have spring equinox. So happy equinox to everyone, and happy Ostara to those of you that celebrate Ostara. And then tomorrow we have a new moon, which also stirs up stuff. And then in a couple of days, we have another big thing. There's like Pluto is going into Aquarius or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like huge energy. And it only happens like every like 300 years or something. And it was like I think it's the 23rd or something. And it last time there was a big revolution on the day it happened. So we have quite a week this week, folks. Perhaps unprecedented in its energy in our lifetimes, right?
Well, hopefully it does prove to be transformative in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, Michelle's saying revolution time. Yeah. So that's my reaction to when shit hits the fan. Just laugh it out. Yeah, exactly. That's all we can do, right?
Most definitely.
She's confirming that it's revolution time.
Well, that's it. And Michelle can probably talk to this much better than I can, but like Pluto's all about transformation and change and growth, right? Is the idea.
Exactly.
And Aquarius is like progress and moving forward and all of that. So, it's definitely potentially like, wow, but right. How do we grow?
Chaos.
Right.
So we're the next, like today, tomorrow, and the next day, or the next couple of days, it's all about new beginnings. So I invite everyone out there to really watch your thoughts, because our thoughts are manifesting, like, right? Because we're in this huge manifesting time. And this is all about starting new beginnings, right? Ostara is about, or spring equinox, they're about fertility and fresh starts and refreshing. And new moons are the same, right? It's all about what are we going to bring in for the next lunar cycle? What do we want to work on and bring in for the next lunar cycle? Yeah. So, and then with the Pluto and Aquarius as well. So the next 3 days, figure out what you want in your life and write it down. Journal. And clear as much crap as we can do in the today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that it's also an astrological new year today. So again, about new beginnings. So what are you guys going to try and manifest in the next 3 days? Why don't you share that with us as we go through? We always like to get some stuff going. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, death, rebirth, and transformation, right? Because you can't have transformation if there isn't death and rebirth.
Well, exactly. That is a transformation. That's how transformation works, right? We have to let go of something to bring something new in. And boy, guys, that can be tough.
It really can be. And it's such a beautiful thing that we're in transit 25 right now for this, because it really is about deep self-love and acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to be in a place where you can accept what's coming to you. Right. Like, if it goes great, awesome. If it doesn't go great, that's okay too. Right. And just kind of allowing the experience to be the experience, but really bringing that love home to self and going, it's okay. Right. Breathing into that beauty, breathing, releasing, allowing what feels like, that constriction or that tightening, to really breathe into it and open so that that transformation can happen.
Mm-hmm. So we did some work on the weekend, and the breathing exercise that we did was really powerful. Even if we just talk the breathing as opposed to the other stuff that we did during it, but if we did, what was it? It was 3 breaths in and out, and they varied. So one time it was in through the nose and out through the mouth, and we did 3 breaths. Then we did in through the mouth, out through the nose. We did 3 breaths. I don't think I'm getting the order right. Do you remember the order?
Okay.
Go ahead. Share.
Yeah, so you're gonna just do nose to start. So in the nose, out the nose, right? And then we're gonna move in the nose, out the mouth. Now we're gonna go in the mouth, out the nose. And now we're just gonna do the mouth. Right?
Yep. Times 3 for each, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was super helpful. I did it again last night, actually, during my meditation practice, because it was great. Jonathan and I do pranayama exercises every morning. Breathing exercises are so helpful. Absolutely.
Oh
yeah. There's the ones that are great for anxiety, right? The square breath and all of that. But there's so many more. So if people, need to start jumping into that,
Well, and breathing exercises and stuff can be different for each person. And there's so many different ones out there. And I know that there are some that really resonate for some people and not for other people.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? It's really about finding what resonates for you and then using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime we're controlling the breath, though, I mean, that's a big step up for your meditation practice when we learn that. So encourage you to look into it, guys. It's pretty cool. So what else are we expecting in the transits? Anything else?
Oh, there's so much.
So just so you know, guys, we had a conversation before we came on, and we were like, it's a day, which is exactly why we said that when we came on. It's a day. So, the thinking thing today is a little challenging. It feels like soup today, walking through mud or soup.
Yeah, definitely. And, we talk about, like, most of the time when I talk about the transits, I'm only talking about what's in the sun gate, because that's kind of the one that's guiding us the most.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also in gate, let me just check really quick. I think it's 46. Yeah, gate 46, which is pushing upward. And this is like about determination. And that's our earth right now too, right? So that's where we kind of ground in, and that returning to ourselves and our experiences and allowing reflection and allowing time to understand how our experiences have impacted who we are or who we think we are. And then kind of looking at that and going, okay, does this serve me? Is this something that I still want to hold on to? Right. And again, looking at it out of that gate 25 in the sun and looking at direction and, what is really driving me right now, as we have this kind of process around self-reflection and figuring out what has impacted our experiences over time, we really have an opportunity to kind of go, okay, yeah, you know what? Like, this aspect, I really need to look at it more. I need to dive into it. I need to really figure out how to align it with where I want to go and who I want to be. And that might mean, working through some tough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It might mean allowing space and then releasing it. Right. So there's a lot of different ways that we're going to deal with that reflective piece. But our earth is really allowing us the space right now with the transit to be able to have that piece of the reflection, so that we can then again come back to self and really decide, okay, how does this resonate for me? What does it serve? If it doesn't serve, can I let it go? How can I breathe into it, release it, and then open my heart just a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And figuring out what you want in life that's tough enough.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
weeding through all the programming creates that, like everybody else telling you what you should and shouldn't do. You know, I always say we should each other to death, really.
We do.
Because there's so many expectations on everybody, you know, and really often, and I really feel that the collective is shifting in how they interact with each other. And, you know, the universal love thing, what does that mean? And people are like, they're feeling it coming in, and they're like, I don't quite know what to do with this. And so it's kind of it's an interesting stage. So Michelle has this to add as well about the breathing. When you control the breath, you control your life force. That's why yoga and breathing help you manage your energy levels. The better you can direct your life force, the better you can direct your life. In Sivananda Yoga, students are taught 3 types. One moment. 3 types of breathing in every class.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jupiter, Sun, Mercury conjunct going on until the 31st. Oh dear. That, I don't know what that sounds like, but that sounds scary. So she's off to walk Rosie. Sending you both love. Sending you lots of love, Michelle, too.
Definitely.
I don't know. Sun and Mercury and Jupiter together sounds like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about the planets and what each of the planets, you know, represent and how they move, like we're going through a huge transformative time.
Yeah.
And like Michelle said, there's a lot of death and rebirth going on in that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, like we talk about like this idea of universal love and what that is. And really like the gate 25 is about that self-love, but not self-love in like an egotistical kind of whatever way. It's self-love in knowing who I really am, in that connected part of me that is one with the divine, whatever that is for you. And really embracing that part of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is a very different thing than what some people look at when they talk about love. That's the cat in the back.
Yeah. I was looking at that. I'm like, oh, Rob's is in her cubby.
Yeah. Actually, I think that one's Shami. He might. He's around here too. So.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I'm feeling that. I'm really feeling that deeply, like in my heart chakra, you know, because it's something that we all really need to step into. And that's, you know, that's something we all probably struggle with a little bit, that self-love thing. And that's what I mean. Like, how do we decide what's best for us? We're so used to everybody else deciding what's best for us. How do we go ahead and make that decision now? And yet that's what we're being called to do. So those self-discovery things, right? Finding out exactly who you are, and then not judging yourself for not being what everybody else says you should be, and just being you. That's, and it's not easy, you know?
Yeah. Well, another piece in this too, with like what you're talking about there, specifically with this gate, because it's a projected one. And so there is this kind of idea of like, I have my idea of what love is, and you should have that same idea. And so I'm going to tell you what that should look like. And what you're doing isn't loving. And so you shouldn't be doing that. And we tend to get into that kind of pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really the other piece of the reflection in all of this is, can I take that step back and not share this? Like, this is a really personal, for me, love that's coming in. And can I hold on to that unless I'm invited to share it?
Mm. Yeah, people aren't very good at that. No. And I would have to say, you know, I try hard to be good at that, but I'm not perfect in that either. You know, you find yourself in situations where you do it. It's specifically with certain people, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a parent thing.
Yeah, you want to do it, and you want to guide, and you want to step in, but it's really it's really important to step back.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that can be really, it can be quite difficult. The problem with stepping in, though, is that it's not often perceived as love.
Yeah, that's right.
sometimes that what we're trying to do and that kindness that we're trying to bring and that compassion that we're trying to show isn't received properly because it wasn't invited.
Right. Yeah.
And so sometimes, really the most loving, truly loving thing we can do in that moment is to wait.
Yeah.
And to just hold space for that love within ourselves. And then allow it to be noticed in others and invited in. What?
I'm just laughing because that's your human design type too.
It is, but this particular gate is a projected one, right?
Yes.
So you have to,
Yeah.
whereas some are manifesting gate, like, you know what
Oh,
I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, I'm not, and I'm not judging that. I think it's super important too. I just think, it's easier for some people than others because of our time, or not our time, our human design.
don't assume that it's because it's our design, it's easy.
True. So it's easier because of our programming, upbringing, and design.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing, right? Nothing about even just understanding our design, if we're truly working towards that deconditioning process, it's work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And not jumping in for a projector who says, I can see what you're doing here and I can really help you, is a very, very difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so when we talk about all of these different pieces, sometimes in the deconditioning process, we almost feel like we're going against what feels like our nature.
Right.
Because of all of the conditioning that we've had.
Yeah.
Right.
Darn
And so
programming.
again, I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's beautiful, right? When you think about it, because, okay, we're going to stick with the gate 25 because it's what we're in right now. So gate 25 has this natural healing ability, especially depending on what line it's in and everything else. And really that knowing what you can do to help and to heal and to bring, you see somebody suffering, you want to step in. You want to do something because that's the loving thing, right? And yet sometimes people need to have their process and they need to go through something that's really hard, and it's not for us to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until they've gone through their whole process that they can turn around and go, oh, you have something that's going to help me with this. And then we do, right? And now we know that we're in flow and we're in proper timing and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not saying it's easy.
No. I think one of the things that I've tried to do lately in terms of that is ask the question when someone's going through a tough time, how can I support you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes supporting someone means just chilling. But at least by asking that question, you're opening the door that if they do need something, you're there. You've asked, because we all have a need to want to step in. So at least we can ask the question without being, I need to do this or you need to do this, right? Which is a bit more of that sort of controlling, or can be perceived that way. Even though it's meant as love, it can be perceived as that. So that's what I've tried to do lately is, how can I support you?
Yeah. Sorry, the cat's he's freaking out. I'll be right back.
The energies are crazy today, guys. The animals feel it too. And Jen's internet is also feeling it. That's why you're getting some sort of lag and stuff. Your internet's kind of going.
Oh, is it acting up too?
It's just a little bit, but you'll kind of like, and then you go again for a little bit and it'll go fast to catch up. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
On my end, it's just blowing, so I didn't even notice.
Well, and it might be fine online, actually. It might just be me. Maybe it's my internet that's not doing very well. Somewhere in the mechanics of things, because of the energy, we have some technical issues today.
Yeah. Well, and it's been that kind of a day.
Mm-hmm.
Technology across the board has been like wonky today.
Yep. It has indeed.
I don't know. Yeah.
So, Should we continue with self-love or should we pick a card?
Well, I mean, we're going to be ending a little bit. Do you guys have a preference as to continuing with self-love, or
let us know what you think?
Yeah.
Or maybe we see what we pick up and see how we feel about the thing we pick.
Hey, let's just do it.
Hey, Robs.
While you're picking, one of the other things with the channel, because it's the whole channel that's actually in right now. And yeah, Shem said pick.
Okay.
Awesome. With the 2551 it's also making space for tough love.
Yes.
Right? And I think that that's also part of everything that's going on right now with the idea of the death and rebirth and all of that, is like sometimes we have to set boundaries and we have to set limits and we have to be a little bit more tough, and that is still loving, right? Even though it might feel strong or it might feel harsh, how we do it, of course, makes a difference. But sometimes, love is not, it it's powerful and it's strong, and it's something to be reckoned with, that's for sure. Right? So we have in the transits right now space to be able to really begin to honor what we need and set boundaries and be a little bit more tough with those that we love in expressing, you know what, this isn't okay, or we have to do this or that, or,
Yeah.
we need to honor this about me or not do that anymore.
Yeah, I had a personal experience with that today, but we won't get into that. So the journeys, or the soul's journey, is the pack that we pick from, guys, by James Van Praagh. Okay. Let's see what they have to say. What are we supposed to talk about today? Yeah, boundaries are a tough thing, right? Because people, if you haven't had your boundaries up and then you start to put them, I got company, then it becomes, you can get pushed back. Let's put it that way. Worry. Yeah. Well, I think that would be appropriate for today. I think we do tend to worry. So how do we not worry? So this says, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Yes, Truth. Indeed. All it does is waste our energy. Let me put that there so we can get it to. There we go. Beautiful mandala too. Look in the center of that. That's really a portal.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I love the colors
too. Me too.
Yeah, they're definitely
they're definitely Jen's colors. So worry is forward thinking, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? So when I have people that worry a lot, I usually try to direct them to being in the moment. Am I safe? Am I okay? Am I loved? Do I love myself? Am I comfortable? Do I have everything I need in this moment? Yeah. Yes. Good. But that's another program thing. If you're brought up in a house where there's worry about future all the time, it's ingrained. That's a tough one. There's a lot of tough today. Why am I saying that so much today?
Well, and the thing is, when we talk about, especially right now, this idea of constricted, right? It's tough.
Shem says that's deep. Thanks.
Yeah, and it is hard, and it is tough. And, it's interesting because you asked those comments, and, even that client, I've had the experience with clients where it's like, no, I'm not okay, and I'm not safe right now. And I'm finding it really hard to love myself. Right? And so sometimes it's as simple as, right here, you're here with me. Let's just breathe into that. Your feet are on the ground. Okay, let's breathe into that. Right?
Your heart's pumping.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're breathing. You're here. And you are loved.
Mhm.
So Shem's
And
asking if we can do something for that.
for what specifically?
So for which part, Shem? In terms of worry, in terms of like a meditation thing, or what are you thinking?
What's coming, and I don't know if this is an answer to your question or not. But I think sometimes when we work with worry, is there anything that I can actually do right here, right now, to address what I'm worried about?
Right.
Right? And if there's nothing that we can actually do to change the situation or to address it or anything else, then we have to ground into acceptance in the moment.
Right.
Right? And then that can help us be present and feel safe. It's like, okay, I've truly done everything I can do about this situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now what can I do to take care of me?
Yeah. And sometimes it's about in the moment taking care of you is those breathing exercises, or it's going for a walk, or it's drinking water because you're feeling dehydrated, or having something to eat because you haven't eaten in a few hours. Because, all of those things contribute to that feeling because our emotions are all physical. We experience them physically in our body. So if we can take care of the physical body in the moment, what are we feeling? What does our body need? Then we can alleviate some of that the worry and at least we don't experience the emotions with the same intensity if we can deal with the physical aspect.
And again, this depends on your situation too, right? Like if you were living in an unsafe situation, it's very different.
Of course.
Right? If you're in an abusive relationship and you're worried about when your partner's going to get home.
Yeah, that's very different from just worrying.
I'm not going to say just breathe into it and start to feel safe, because that's not okay. Yeah. Right? So again, I think that recognizing, what safety is, right? And sometimes we worry like, oh, if this doesn't come through, then next month I'm not going to be able to do this or that or pay the bill or blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I don't know if this thing is going to come through, and I don't even know if I have to worry about that yet. That's very different than like an actual
Threat.
danger to yourself or somebody that you care about, right? So knowing kind of how to balance that, right?
Yeah.
So
there's worry and there's fear, right? And the real fear is very different from a worry. Worry is just like a I don't know how to describe it, like a cycle thing, you got the tape recorder going over and over in your head kind of thing, as opposed to a real fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to specify that in case somebody's watching and they're saying, oh, I'm worried about this. And it's like, well, actually that's more than being worried. Like that's an actual.
Yeah. That's a threat, right?
You have to deal with.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are certainly things that do present that we aren't safe in that moment. And we do need to do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas worry is more, again, coming back to even the statement about worry on the card, is my worry isn't going to do anything to change the situation. It's that level of worry that you can turn around and go, okay, yeah, in this moment, I am safe. I am okay. Right. I might feel displaced, or I might feel like I can't figure this out, but right here, right now, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if we can sit in that for a moment, even a second, if you're in fear, you can calm the nervous system down enough to make a good decision about what to do next.
Yeah.
Right. So even a thought of that can help us move through those big situations that really are a threat. But I mean, time permitting, right? Time permitting.
Yeah. But I mean, the idea of being present too, when we think about like mindfulness and what it really is. That idea of being able to be in the moment and recognizing the judgments and the labels and the biases and all of the narrative that I bring to the moment, and being able to go, okay, what is actually happening in the moment, and what is all this doing to the moment, right? And being able to step out of all this and just experiencing it from a very more neutral, more observer place, right? And that can often help us to feel safe because we're not bringing in all of our stuff.
Yeah. Oh, the stuff.
Oh, the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, worry too. I think one of the other big things that I talk a lot to clients about with worry, and you had mentioned earlier about like writing and stuff, is when it's just here, it spirals. And resolution doesn't generally come because we can talk ourselves into illogical ways of processing something. And it sounds totally reasonable in our mind.
Yeah.
Right? But the moment that we have to say it out loud, write it down and read it, the moment it becomes real in that way, we can go, wait a minute. Does that actually make sense?
Well, and that's why it's
Right.
important to talk to somebody if you're feeling that way, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling worried, reach out, because that spiral is what so many people get caught in. And it's difficult to break that if you're in there. So if you don't have anybody to talk to, journaling can be a great tool because you're putting it on paper, right?
Most definitely.
So Shem says, in this moment, I am safe, not bringing all the stuff. What to do next? Thanks.
Breathe.
Breathe, feel the body. So I usually, get people to feel into their body, do a little body scan. What does my body need right now?
Mm-hmm. Now, on that, if you have experienced trauma in the body of any kind and you don't feel safe connecting with the body, it's something that you have to work through
Slowly.
with a professional. And you need to go through it slowly. So if at any point we're saying something and you're like, I can't do that, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's not a judgment in that. Getting connected with the body, doing somatic experiencing work and things like that is very powerful and very helpful if you're in a place where you can.
Yeah. So that's where you reach out to someone like Jen, who's a counselor, and you have her help you through that. Right?
If you're in Ontario.
Yes.
But, when we talk about even just simple things to connect and ground, like Tana said, drinking water is something that you can do. It does ground, it does circulate the energy and all, and it helps us to be able to process stuff. Depending on, what you're worrying about, sometimes actually sitting down and just making a list. Right? And going, okay, things I have control over, things I don't have control over.
That's the other thing. We should talk about the serenity purr.
Yeah.
There's different versions. So if it's not part of your framework, look for one that is, because I know there's a bunch of different versions out there. Right? So it's God, but you can say source or guides.
Or you can just start with grant.
Or you can what?
Just start with grant. Grant me.
That's true. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. So that's a powerful one if you need a mantra thing. Yeah. And we have hello from Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
How are you? So yes, Serenity Prayer is great. Yeah, that's true. Grant. Yeah. Non-denominational then.
Well, and you know, non-denominational. It can be whatever you want it to be. To whomever you want it to be, even to you or your higher self.
Oh no.
Oh, not fun at all.
That's painful. Sending you tons of love and healing, Rachel.
Definitely.
And we have a hello. Whoops. Where are we here? Our technical stuff. Hello, and it's Sandra. Hi, Sandra. How are you? Nice to join.
Sandra.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So, when we look at worry and navigating worry, again, this idea of knowing what we have control over and what we don't is huge, right? Because if we spend all of our time worrying about things that we have no impact on and we can't do anything about, what does that actually serve for us?
Yeah, just worry about the stuff you can change. Well, no.
Well, if we can actually change it, we don't have to worry about it. And if we can't do anything about it, we also don't have to worry about it.
So that cuts the list down quite a bit.
Yeah. And I know it's really easy to sit here and say, don't worry, be happy. But the reality is, things happen to us all the time. And, some of it we have the ability to navigate and control, and others we are just, in the middle of the storm going, okay, now what do I know?
I think that pretty much describes this week. So we have a beautiful comment there from Sandra. It's very fun to learn with you girls. Thank you. It's fun to learn with you guys too, right? Because we all learn from each other in this forum, which I love. That's why I love doing the lives. So
most definitely, and I love it when you guys comment and share, and it's wonderful.
When will these solar storms pass? Yeah, we got another few months of this, I think. Because it only happens every 11 years. And it's for a big portion of that 11th year. So we've had it for a while, and it's going to be another while. But this week in particular, we were saying at the beginning of the show, so today is Astrological New Year. It is Austera, for those who celebrate that. It is spring solstice. And then tomorrow we have a new moon. And then the 23rd, we have, Jupiter. Hold on one moment. We had our, Pluto. We had Pluto going into Aquarius. Pluto is about death, rebirth, and transformation in the collective and innovation. So it's going to be intense. So that's what's coming this week, if you missed the first part. So.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, right? Because we talk about, okay, so new moon, I think you said it was in Aries, right? So it's motivational. It's this kind of, again, that push to be able to move forward and to make change. And so when we look at worry in light of this transit with self-love and everything else, like doing, a prayer or a ritual or something on the new moon where you really kind of breathe into releasing that worry and allowing, guides to show you, okay, now what next? How do I navigate this? What do I do with it? Right? How can I, gain or grasp this motivation that is here and move forward in a way that really is going to serve? Right?
Yeah. So Shem says, learning as I am a control freak, but makes sense. Don't worry if we can't change stuff. Yeah, the control thing is difficult for everybody because we think that we can change everything. We think we're actually in control, and we're really not.
No.
So
Yeah. I was just going to say what came as all control is basically perceived
correct.
control, right? Like we don't actually have the control we think we do. And as long as we perceive that we have it, we set ourselves up for suffering.
Yeah.
Right. And if we're able to come into this place of, I'm going to make choices that are in line with my values and that are going to move me towards an experience that I want, knowing that the only thing I truly have power over is how I respond to the experiences that come my way.
Yeah, because we
Right?
don't have control over anyone else. The only thing we have control over is our actions and reactions. Not everybody else's actions and reactions. As much as we'd like to, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, and Rachel, she's having a lot of worry. She's worried about her ears, a rash, job interview, and the current job. Yes.
Yeah. So again, when we look at, okay, here's very like concrete things, right? Ears, rash, right? What is your medical practice, right? If it's self-healing, if it's natural healing, if it's medical with the doctor healing, have you done everything that you can do to take care of yourself in that way?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, then you need to just honor what you've been given to do, whether it's antibiotics or it's a salt sack for your ear or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then we release it and allow space for healing to happen.
Yeah.
Right? But when we worry, like we talk about like vibration and how what we have going on here is often what we're bringing in, right? So whether you're getting into law of attraction or manifesting or whatever kind of terms you want to use, the reality is what we hold on a regular basis is what we experience because it's what we see, it's what we look for, right? So worry holds space for finding fault, for finding failure, for finding things to go wrong. And so the more we hold space for worry, the more we allow it in our experience.
Yeah.
Right? So we do everything that we can do with the situation, and then we release it and hold space for the change that we want to come, for the healing. Right?
Yeah.
So we talk about like job and interviews and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, have you done the prep work? Right? Ask maybe a friend to help you kind of navigate or do the back and forth just to kind of prep you for the interview or whatever is coming. And then I'm going to get it. If it's meant for me, I'm going to have it. And then we move forward with that energy. And it's a very different way of being within the experience.
Yeah. True. I guess I just want things to be lighter and not get sickness on tour as a sign something's wrong. Well, it can be. I think that we fall into thinking that if we are on the spiritual path and we're doing everything right and the energy is, if we have our energy high enough, we won't get sick. Yeah, we're human. We are not perfect, and our energy vibration is not perfect. And these things happen, right? This is part of the human journey. So we just try to do the best we can while we're here and be forgiving with ourselves. And that's what we do.
Definitely. And you gotta think about it too, right? Like one, we have collective consciousness around germs. I'm sorry, but that's a lot to combat. Okay.
Yes.
And then we have, the psychospiritual aspects of illness.
Yeah.
And so then we get sick, and then we start to think, what's wrong with me? What am I doing? What am I off on? Why am I not on course? Why am I not in flow? And it's like, just the worry alone can cause us to feel unwell.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, the body remembers. So when we get the idea of illness, let's say we're around somebody who's been ill, there might not have even been time for an incubation period, and we might start to feel the symptoms of it.
Yeah.
Right? And we can manifest that within the body. Okay, so now I'm not saying that every illness is something that we manifest within the body, but what I am saying is that we have to be really mindful of how we narrate the experience.
Yeah. So unfortunately, guys, we came on early because I got to go. I got another thing. But we wanted to come on and wish you all a wonderful week. And we're sending you tons of love, right? Self-care, self-care, self-care. Remember to, think about what it is you want to manifest, because this is a huge manifesting time. So keep those manifestation thoughts positive instead of negative, okay? So don't say, I don't want this. I would love this. I would love this to happen. I would love to do this, right? That's my thoughts for the week. And I'm wishing you all tons of love and light. And we will see you here next week at our usual time. Jen, how can they reach you?
Yeah, you can reach me at myholisticself.com or Jennifer at myholisticself via email, or you can find me through Twillow.
And you can find me at twillow.ca or Tanis at twillow.ca. And we are sending you tons of love. Have an awesome week, everyone.